Meet the Mets. Greet the Mets. Step right up and meet the Mets. Bring your kiddies. Something else. Something. Meet the Mets. Boy, golly, Mets, you pulled the Phillies on us, New York Mets. Well, I guess the Phillies would be pulling a Mets, but the Mets pulled the Phillies, pulling a Mets, pulling a Phillies, pulling a Mets. A lot of crisscrossing there. Anyway, welcome back to .NET Phillies. What a series we have to go over against the New York Metropolitans. A series in which the Phillies took 2 out of 3. Phillies realistically should have been swept, but a win is a win. A win is a win. So today's episode, we have headlines going over the series. We have another edition of the worst show on the internet. Where are they now? And finally, wrapping up with the series preview of the Chicago Cubs series. So, I mean, Mets, come on now. What are we doing? You went full Phillies here and handed us a series win. It was a series where the Phillies struggled heavily with runners in scoring position and were gifted a lot and took advantage of it. So you got to give them credit there. But, this series wasn't clean by the Phillies. It wasn't like a stance of taking 2 out of 3. It really was a gift taking 2 out of 3 because, like I said, they should have been swept. But luckily, we're good. God, there was something. Oh, God, there was something to say. I forget. Anyway, headlines. The only major thing, we had an update about Sir Anthony. He threw today, said he felt really good. And he probably won't be back. He's eligible to come back on July 1st. The Phillies said he probably won't be. Maybe after the All-Star break at this point. I wouldn't push him, if he needs that extra time, give him the extra time because we're going to need him for the back half of the season. But the other news was Dalton Guthrie was traded to the New York Giants. Dalton Guthrie was traded to the San Francisco Giants in exchange for cash consideration. So that thus concludes the Dalton Guthrie experiment in Philadelphia and another failed prospect in Philly. You had Luke Williams, who showed promise and then sucked in the big leagues. I mentioned this to Matt Saporsky. I said, you remember Mitch Walding? You guys remember Mitch Walding? Because I do. He was supposed to be the next coming. Him and God, what was his name? Dylan Cousins? Wasn't that his name? Hold on. We're hitting the internet. I'm pretty sure. Was it Dylan Cousins was the other big Phillies prospect back in like 2018? Like he was supposed to be like the next, and then he tried to play football and then failed, and now he's doing God knows what. Of course, my internet's not going to be working right here when I'm trying to look up Dylan Cousins, which I'm pretty sure I am the only person outside of his immediate family that is looking up Dylan. Okay, now the internet's working. All right. Give me a moment here. How's everyone doing? Trey Turner is hot. I mean that literally and figuratively. Okay, let's see. Google. Why is the internet being like booty cheeks right now? Oh, I do want to run something by you guys. Would you guys, you can leave a comment or not. I don't know who wants to leave a comment or not. You can DM me too if you want. I don't care. I'm an open book. I've been thinking about doing a live stream on YouTube of watching a game live. From here, I can answer you guys' questions. We can talk about the game, kind of go through it. If that's something you guys would be interested in, let me know. I was toying around with maybe like episode 100, but episode 100 won't be probably until next season. So maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just do it episode 69 if that would fall into this season. But that would be very on brand. But if that's something you guys are interested in, please let me know. So here, Dylan, is it cousin? Yes, Dylan Cousins. There he is. Is he still in the league? No. So Dylan Cousins dog. Okay, so here's how his career went. So he signed with the Phillies, kind of sucked. He then went to the Rays. and then he signed with the Brewers. He then retired from baseball. He then worked out for the New England Patriots on August 5th, 2021, and that was the last of it. So that was talking Dylan Cousins for this episode. Now let's get into the series rundown. Game 1, the Phillies won 5-1. My player of the game was Taijuan Walker. And I can't get over how amazing Taijuan Walker has been in his past 7 starts. He's pitched 42 innings to a 1.71 ERA. He's by far been the best pitcher on the Phillies rotation so far. And I don't know what they did. I don't know what adjustments he made. I don't know if he ditched one of his pitches. I don't know, but whatever he's doing, continue to do it, because this was the guy, and I've said it after every start he's made, the past couple weeks, that this is the guy you paid $70 million for, is this pitcher right here. And I think they may have unlocked something. I know before we signed him, a lot of Mets fans and were saying like the first half of Walker's really good and then the second half is really bad. So maybe we just got the other way around. Maybe the first half was bad and the second half is good, which is ideal, especially for a team that has playoff aspirations. So he just continued to pitch 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Another brilliant performance from him. Very, very happy with what he's been able to do in his past 7 starts. And, this rotation as a whole has kind of rounded into shape a little bit. Obviously, yeah, Wheeler got touched up a little bit. That 5th starter spot is still a question mark, but Sanchez has pitched reasonably well for a 5th starter put into the position he's in. Suarez continues to throw the ball well. Nola is Nola. And then you have Taijuan Walker, who has been has pitched very, very well as of late. So hopefully he continues that dominance when he pitches against the Cubs in the rubber match. So we'll see. So the Mets really, started Metsing right off Jump Street. You had Schwarber with that pop fly in center field that Brandon Nimmo dropped. And I just want to say, and every organization in the NL East, I respect them outside of the New York Metropolitans. Let me tell you, just all their players are just so annoying and like stupid. And I just hate them. Like with the Braves, I respect their organization from top to bottom. I think they're run beautifully. I think they take care of their players. I think, from top to bottom, they are a very, very well-functioning organization. I respect a lot of their players. Acuna, Olsen, Riley. I even like Darno, Sean Murphy, their pitchers. I mean, Strider, Elder, like they have a lot of great talent, and I respect them. And handshake, like, good job. I respect the hell out of you. You get to the Nationals, not a lot going on there, but they got some guys. Like, they're going to be a wagon in a couple years. You have CJ Abrams, you have Josiah Gray, Mackenzie Gore, you have on there now. Candelario looks like he's been a good addition as a veteran piece. God, who is the Thomas? God, I forget his first name. I apologize, but you got those guys. And then on the Marlins, you have Gene, which I respect. Their entire rotation has been awesome, outside of Sandy, surprisingly. But Perez and God, oh my God, I'm terrible with names right now. But Luis Arrives, who's hitting over 400. You have not Brian Anderson, Garrett Cooper, and God, who else is on that team? Jorge Soler and Jazz Chisholm. Like, respect there. And then we get to the New York Metropolitans. Alvarez, dork. Alonso, dork. Nimmo, dork. McNeil, dork. Lindor, Beatty or Beatty, who plays the third base, whatever, the third baseman, dork. Left Marte, dork. It's already got Nimmo. Who plays right field for them? Mark Canha, super dork. That guy is a mega dork. Arguing with the umpire after he swung up. Cry me a dang river. Dorks. The whole New York Mets, dorks. The rotation. Scherzer, old dork. Verlander, old dork. Carrasco, I like Carrasco. Former Phil prospect who got us Cliff Lee. Cookie Carrasco. Kodai Senga, dork. Who's their fifth starter? God, who is their fifth starter? Is it oh my God, who is oh my God, it's not saying Peterson, that's it. Dork, whoever it is, their whole bullpen. I gotta respect their bullpen because they gave us a victory today. So shout out the Buck Show, Walter. But they dropped that ball, and then Harper had an RBI single. Stott had a sac fly, and then the dork Brandon Nimmo had a solo home run. And then the Mets, all the way into the sixth inning, dropped the ball that led to Marsh getting an RBI, and then Turner had an RBI single. It was just a full Mets masterclass on full display for all 10 viewers to see because this game was on Apple TV, which I can't stand. I can't stand the Apple stream. I wasn't able to watch it because I don't have Apple TV or whatever, or Apple Plus, whatever the hell it's called. I don't have it. But the Mets were on full display in this game here. And then in terms of the rest of the pitching, you had Soto pitching inning, struck out the side. Alvarado, one walk and a strikeout in an inning of work. And Craig Kimbrell, an inning, a walk, and a strikeout to close out the game. So just the bullpen continues to dominate. And I say that, and well, it's really one person that isn't dominating right now, which I don't know why he's still on the roster. When if you guys saw, I don't know if you've checked in on Andrew Bellotti recently, but he hasn't allowed a run since like May 25th of in AAA. So I'm just saying, I think Andrew Bellotti, it's ready to come back up to the big leagues, and Junior Marte can get the hell out of here. And you know, I'm one, and I know a lot of people might say it is, I'm one who was a Junior Marte truther. I thought this guy was going to be good and dominant, and they can unlock something like they did with Alvarado, and that still could be a possibility. But for right now, he is not a major league pitcher. I don't know. I don't get him. He's an enigma. The guy throws like 101 with sink. It's like Alvarado. How in God's name? He's not walking the house. He's just giving up hard contact. I don't know. He's a mystery to me. No wonder the Giants gave up on him. But thank God Dalton Guthrie's over on the Giants now. He's our double agent. I feel like the Giants and Phillies, I feel like trade all the time. I think it's smart baseball teams trading with each other. So shout out to you, Mr. San Francisco Giants. I don't know why I just said it. I have no idea what in God's name that was, but anyway, we get to game 2, and the aforementioned Junior Marte will be a centerpiece. The Phillies lost 4-2. You had Chris Sanchez on the bump, and again, he didn't pitch terribly. 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts against a pretty formidable Mets opponent. I know their offense has been extremely inconsistent, but so is the Phillies. Like he pitched very well. You know, it got leading off with Marte with a solo home run in the first, and then Brandon Nimmo with an RBI single in the third. But then Casty off of Scherzer had a solo home run, and Turner and that's had a RBI single in the fifth. So it was kind of back and forth for a little bit, and for whatever reason, we get to the 6th inning, and of all the people that Rob Thompson could put and to call upon, could have went with Strom, could have went with Hoffman earlier. Hoffman and Strom did pitch in this game, but they could have pitched earlier, and Strom maybe even could have tackled 2 innings. You put Junior Marte in after he pitched like 30 pitches and gave up 5 runs against the Braves, albeit was not his fault. The 5 runs were not his fault. You know, you have the ghost runner that run 7 times out of 10 scores. And then you had the Schwarber drop ball, and then he gave up the home run. So not all of it is on Junior Marte. However, he did pitch a lot, and it was one day. He then exactly what I thought would happen happened. 1 inning, 3 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, and no strikeouts. Like, I don't know why Junior Marte was put into this game. I still don't know why to this day. Tommy Pham had the RBI single in that 6th inning to make it 4-2. And I don't understand the use of Junior in that situation. And I feel like it's Thompson trusting him a little too much. And it obviously backfired. Again, you know, I understand in that game against Atlanta, you kind of had to use him there. You didn't have a lot of bullpen ammunition left. And like I keep saying, Junior has pitched very well up into this little stretch he's in right now. That being said, he should be sent down. Bilotti should be brought up. You still have Brogdon down there, so trying to get his confidence back and everything. So you have other bullpen options outside of Junior Marte. But I think for now, Junior has to be used in blowouts, one way or the other, to kind of. I don't know. I don't know how, because he has the stuff to be a high leverage reliever, and I think they're seeing if they can unlock something in Junior like they did with Jose Alvarado. I just don't really get it right now, especially against a division rival, and especially this not late, but we're getting there in the season where it's looking a little like a question mark. So I don't know. And then you had Strom with a clean inning. Same thing with Hoffman, and a lot of the Phillies had a chance to win this game. I felt like almost every inning they had guys on and failed to score. The runners in scoring position issues still are creeping in. And it baffles me. And I think the same question could be asked for Mets fans, because how does a team this talented struggle so much with runners in scoring position when a lineup consists of Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, JT Realmuto, Alec Bohm, Bryson Stott, Brandon Marsh, whoever you have at first base, whether that's Cody Clemens or Bohm or Sosa or how does a team with that talent, and then you look at the Mets, Alonso, Lindor, Nimmo, McNeil, Alvarez, Marte, Canna, how do you struggle that much with runners in scoring position? I don't know, because I feel like if they were wearing a Braves uniform, they would be winning 9-0 every single game, but that's neither here nor there. So then we get to the ninth inning, which baffles me on two ends here. The Phillies had a chance to score in the bottom of the eighth, and the Buck Showalter decides to bring in the former Phil, David Robertson. And the most perplexing thing from this entire series was David Robertson coming out of the bullpen and throwing 97 miles an hour. Since when the hell could David Robertson throw 97 miles an hour? Because if I recall correctly, and I'm sure all you beautiful people out there do too, he was throwing 89-mile-an-hour meatballs to the Astros. And couldn't find the strike zone against the Padres in the clincher last year. So where the hell did David Robertson remember how to throw 97 again? Because I was like, there's no way that David Robertson is out here pumping 97, but apparently he is for the New York Metropolitans. But that wasn't even the most perplexing thing. The most perplexing thing to happen is, why is Dylan Covey still on this team? Yes, he threw a clean inning. I don't care. This guy sucks. I don't see the value in Dylan Covey. I don't understand why he's still on this roster. And I don't care that he's pitched well recently in the bullpen role. I don't care. Unless he rattles off 15 straight scoreless appearances, I'm just going to write him in for 2 runs every game. I don't get it while he's still on this team. And the same thing for Marte when you have Brogdon and Bilotti stashed away in AAA. I don't. And I understand Bilotti and Brogdon weren't the best coming in. But for right now, those guys are better than what you're throwing out there with Covey and Marte. And again, Marte's been bad recently, and Covey has, I got to give him credit when it's due, has pitched back-to-back scoreless times. And he's touched 97, so maybe there's something there that as a fan I'm not seeing, but or whatever. I just don't see the value in having Dylan Covey and Junior Marte in this bullpen over Connor Brogdon and Andrew Bilotti. I just don't. I don't know if there's mechanical stuff that they're trying to figure out with those guys to get them better. But even then, Bilotti looks like he's ready. Looks like he's back to the guy we saw last year, pitched to a 3-2. It just kind of baffles me a little bit. But, that's I don't get paid to manage the team. I'm wearing my bucket hat again. Oh, and in case anybody's wondering, this shirt here, I'll stand up. I don't know if I've ever worn this shirt on a episode before, but my brother got that for me for Christmas like a year ago. Yeah, it was like right around when Casty signed with the Phillies. Or it might have even been before then, but I don't know. But it's a great shirt. It's an all-timer. And the I'm just so done with Josh Harrison. Anytime he's an easy out at this point. I don't understand why we're still throwing him out there. I really don't. But again, I don't get paid to write the lineup or do whatever. Don't understand why Josh Harrison. I just don't get it. Why I just don't. And then we get to today's game, which might have been one of the funniest things ever. So my players of the game was the Mets bullpen and Trey Turner. I gotta give it to a Philly, but majority Mets bullpen. Or really should have been Buck Showalter, but regardless. The scoring got started with a Turner solo home run in the first, and then Pete Alonso had an RBI single to make it 2-1. He then had a Turner RBI single in the third to tie it up, and then after that it was all Mets. Nimmo with an RBI single, Lindor with a solo home run. You then had Trey Turner score on a throwing error in the fifth to make it 4-3. You then had Pete Alonso with a solo. Pete Alonso with a 2-run home run in the seventh to make it 6-3. And at this point, you're thinking, okay, this game's over. What are we doing? Like, whatever, like regroup. Yeah, losing 2 out of 3 to a division rival, especially after getting swept by the Braves, is just not a good look. But you regroup, you retool as a team, and then you move on. The Buck Showalter said, "Easy now, guys. I got you." You then had it was a walk to Harper. Real Muto hit a single. This is all in the 8th inning, bottom of the 8th. You had Harper walk, JT single, Stott walk, bases loaded. You know, boom, hit a rocket to beat. And I texted Matt Sporsky, Matt Hartman. I'm like, how don't they score here? And the consensus was the same. It's a 6-4-3 double play. They get 1 run, and that was it. Bohm did his best job to try that. Hit a rocket to third. Beatty grabbed it, couldn't get it out of his glove, threw it away. But McNeil knocked it down, and everybody's safe. So then it's 6-4. Marsh then drew a walk on a very close pitch. It was a great take. It was a little bit below the zone. Great take. 6-5. Schwarber then got hit by a pitch to tie it. And then Turner got hit by a pitch after the pitch beforehand missed him by this much. They decided to throw it again, and it hit him to make it 7-6. And then Dirty Craig comes in, slams the door. And I got to give a shout out to Craig Kimbrell, who has a 0.82 ERA in the month of June. He has been awesome as the Phillies closer so far this year, which the Phillies lose this signing every year. Every single year we sign a closer or sign a relief pitcher who stinks. Last year it was Familia and Brad Hand. Familia got DFA'd. Brad Hand, we all know how I feel about Brad Hand. The year before that, God, who was it? I mean, I guess they traded for Ian Kennedy, and he sucked. And then 2020, the whole year sucked with that bullpen. 2019, you had the smorgasbord of people rotating in and out, in and out, in and out. I guess David Robertson, but then he had to get TJ, so not him. 2018, I'm diving deep now. I mean, we had Hector at that time, so we really didn't need a closer. But the Phillies, we've signed a gazillion of these relievers who never work out, but Craig Kimbrell has been as advertised as recently, so it's been awesome to watch. I feel like I can trust him. And I know, that being said, he's probably going to blow like 2 saves by the next time I record an episode, just because that's how this works. That's how baseball works, guys. You then had Wheeler went 5 1/3, 9 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. Not the best. A lot of those hits, however, were like bloop hits, little rinky dink, a little unlucky. So what are you going to do? Strom, 2/3 of an inning, 1 strikeout. Alvarado has been getting touched up recently. I guess no reliever is immune to touch-ups, but, you know, it feels like Alvarado is still getting the rust off from returning. But he had an inning, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. And after he got one of those 2 strikeouts, he did a little thrust against the Mets, which I love. And then Hoffman, another strong outing, an inning, 2 strikeouts. And then Kimbrel, an inning, 2 strikeouts. And my main note was LOL Mets. I mean, this was handed to you on a silver platter, Mets, and you let the Phillies. The Phillies scored all these runs on one hit. What are we doing? Oh God, it's good to be on the other end of one of those games for once, because how many times has this has happened to the Phillies? We saw last year with the Phillies. They were up 7-1 in the ninth and blew it to the Mets. That was the James Norwood game. Oh God. But that's the Mets series, the 2 out of 3. But I'm gonna make a theme song for this, but welcome to another edition of Where Are They Now? The worst show on the internet. This is the series where we take a walk down memory lane and look at some of the great faces that have graced the Phillies bullpen over the past few years. My 3 this year are something all right. There's something. We have one guy who is arguably the worst trade deadline acquisition in recent memory. We have a guy who was traded last year, and a guy who, of course, figured out how to pitch not on the Phillies. So my first guy was somebody who I wanted at the trade deadline in 2020, and they got him. They got him, and he was terrible. I am, of course, talking about Brandon Workman. So Brandon was actually drafted by the Phillies in the 3rd round of the 2007 draft. However, he didn't sign. He was then drafted again in 2010 by the Red Sox in the 2nd round, a team in which he spent 2013 to 2020 with. And in those years, 301 innings, to a 318 strikeouts to a 3.89 ERA. So really good, pretty solid. And the Phillies need a bullpen help at that trade deadline. So what did they do? They traded for Brandon Workman and Heath Henry for Nick Pivetta and Connor Siebold. And let me read you some stats for Mr. Workman. With the Phillies, 13 innings pitched, 23 hits, 10 earned runs, 9 walks, 15 strikeouts. That is a 6.92 ERA. That was the worst ERA by a qualified pitcher in baseball. That entire bullpen was a dumpster fire. I feel like I could have been out there throwing chundos, my guy. Like, come on, what are we doing? After the hellscape that was the Brandon Workman experiment in Philadelphia, he signed a minor league contract with the Cubs. He was then DFA'd He then re-signed with the Boston Red Sox, to which his contract expired, making him a free agent again, signing with the Rangers in 2022. He then was released in April, and then in the next month, he retired. And the most interesting thing is he currently works as a real estate agent. I tried to look where he was located out of. I was unable to, but he currently is a real estate agent. So you could buy a house from Brandon Workman right now and ask him what in God's name happened during the 2020 season. I just want to know, and give me a good deal on this house, Mr. Workman. So shout out to Brandon Workman, doing real estate now. So good for him. My next guy is maybe one of the most memed on players, mostly from the gif of him downing a Red Bull and slamming it down before going into a game in 2020. I, of course, am talking about Jojo Romero. And I was a big Jojo fan just because the electricity, the mustache, the bushy hair, the Red Bull slam, and the high energy. We love you, Jojo Romero. I nearly bought a 79 Romero jersey just for the meme, but I ultimately decided against it, and good thing I did because he's no longer on the team. So that would have been a bad purchase. But he was drafted by the Phillies in the 4th round of the 2016 draft. He then spent 2020 and part of 2022 with the Phillies, and in those pitched in 25 games, 21 2/3 innings pitched, 29 hits, 19 earned runs, 7 walks, 19 strikeouts to a 7.89 ERA. Not too good for JoJo. He then was traded for one of the Phillies' key players we have on the team now. He was traded 1-for-1 in 2022 to the Cardinals for Edmundo Sosa. We all love Sosa. I can't say I don't curse on here. I try not to, at least. But Yes, he was traded for Edmundo Sosa, and he's actually pitched fairly well for the Cardinals. He's currently in their minor leagues right now, but in 21 games, 22 innings, 13 hits, 9 earned runs, 14 walks, 22 strikeouts. That's a 3.68 ERA. So the walks are still an issue for him, and they were even in the minors. So that's something that I guess the Cardinals thought they could fix. Clearly, they haven't. But the Cardinals are so weird in they have starters that throw 88 miles an hour, but the relievers throw like 105, like Jordan Hicks and God, who's that other one? Cabrera and Romero can get it up there, and God, there's one other. Ryan Helsley, the guy the Phillies touched up, and he's never been the same since. But anyway, so that's JoJo, and like I said, he's currently in the minor leagues for the St. Louis Cardinals. And my final guy, which this is a perfect transition to the Phillies series coming up against the Cubs because he's currently on the Chicago Cubs. My next player is Mark Leiter Jr. I'm sure that's a name you probably didn't think you'd hear on a Phillies podcast in 2023, but here we are. Mr. Leiter Jr. was drafted by the Phillies in the 22nd round of the 2013 MLB draft. He spent 2017 to 2018 with the Phillies in 39 games, 11 starts, 107 and a third, 112 hits, 60 earned runs, 39 walks, 97 strikeouts to a 5.03 ERA. Not particularly good for Mr. Leiter, but it was one of those situations where they tried him as a starter, tried him as a reliever. And I wish I probably should have done this is look at his splits from a starter as a reliever, because it's like the Andrew Chafin shirt, failed starter. Sometimes the best relievers are failed starters. So he then was released by the Phillies in 2018, in which he was picked up by the Blue Jays. And spent the rest of 2018 in there. It wasn't too long. He then underwent Tommy John surgery in 2019. He then signed with the Diamondbacks in 2020. He was released. He then spent time for the Somerset Patriots of the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball. However, that was in 2020. Didn't pitch due to COVID. Their entire season was canceled. The Tigers then took a chance on him in 2021. He spent the entire season in the minor leagues for the Tigers. He then he signed with the Cubs last year and still currently on their team. And for them, 66 games, 4 starts, 99 innings, 39 earned runs, 35 walks, 120 strikeouts. That's a 3.55 ERA. So he's been pitching fairly well for them. That ERA is probably going to tick up after this coming week of games against the Phillies. At least I hope so. And that perfectly ties into our next segment, which is the closer series preview against the Cubs. We have Suarez, Nola, and Walker. The starters for the Cubs have not been announced yet. They're coming back from the London series, so we'll see who they throw out there. Hopefully not Marcus Stroman, but I don't think we'll see Stroman because I think he pitched in that 2-game series for the Cubs in against the Cardinals. So I don't think we'll be seeing Stroman, which is good because he has been the best pitcher in the National League so far. And I don't think a lot of people are giving Stroman some love. So, I mean, the Cubs have been kind of a pain on our side for the last couple years. Obviously, they they swept us last year in the season series. You know, they won both series, I believe, where the Phillies snuck in a game maybe, but I know they got swept in Chicago against the pretty bad Cubs team. And this team, not to say they're bad, but they're much more talented. You know, you have Bellinger, Swanson, Matt Mervis, if I believe he's still on the active roster, if I'm not mistaken. But, you know, they have guys who can swing it, Horner and Wisdom. And, you know, they got guys on that team. So you just got to execute, win 2 out of 3, just keep pile series wins on. You know, you took one from the Mets here, continue that streak. I hope that they figured out the off day should do them well in terms of bullpen help and just guys getting right. You know, with Suarez, hopefully continues his dominance. Nola looks to build off a very strong outing in his last time out, and Walker looks to continue his dominance. And we'll see how that works. But that's going to do it for me. I thank you guys for watching. Feel free to follow all the socials down below. Subscribe, like, comment if you would like to see me live react to a Phillies game with you guys. We can have fun, do a live stream, and do all that fun stuff. But God, do I have anything else? I don't think I do. I'm going to be back. See, I won't be home. I'll probably be back on Sunday. In a week from now to talk about the Cubs and the God, where are we going after Chicago? I forget. But talk about those two series just because I'll be with Ashlyn on Thursday, so I won't and I won't be home, so I won't be able to record. So my next episode is probably going to be on on Sunday, talking about those two series. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you guys practically in a week. So enjoy it and go Phils.